A man is dead after being found inside the engine of a commercial jetliner at Salt Lake International Airport. Tonight, what the man's father says may have led to the incident.
As we look ahead, a series of storms moving through the region. How many do we see over the next 7 days? I'll let you know in the forecast.
They didn't say anything to me, just shoot him.
Police say he was shot for no apparent reason during a robbery in Salt Lake City. What family says about the victim, who only just came to the country a few weeks ago.
Starting now, Park City is offering scholarships to help families afford childcare. How this could help you, even if you don't live here.
Live from Utah's news leader, Fox 13 News at 9 starts right now.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Bob Evans.
And I'm Kelly Chapman. Police now investigating the bizarre death of a Park City man last night at the Salt Lake International Airport.
30-year-old Kyle Effinger was found partially inside the engine of a Delta Airlines commercial jet at the de-icing pad on the west side of the airport. Police say Effinger had been involved in a disturbance at a store in Terminal A before he pushed open an emergency door and made his way to the tarmac. I was at a police news conference this afternoon.
It was about several minutes later that officers did locate the individual unresponsive inside, partially inside a engine for a Delta Airlines.
Was the engine running at the time?
So based on the information that we have learned since this investigation, when our officers did learn the location of the individual, they did ask the FAA's air traffic controllers to notify the pilot to turn off the engine. The exact stage of the engine's operation remain under investigation, but the air blades were circulating when officers arrived on scene.
First responders tried to save his life, but he was pronounced dead at the scene. The medical examiner is investigating the exact cause of death. Effinger's father, Judd, tells Fox 13 News the family was together for the holidays and everything was fine. But he says Kyler had suffered from mental health issues for the past 10 years. He says Kyler was on his way to see a sick grandparent and may have missed his flight, which may have led to a manic episode. And he was barefoot at the time? He had no shoes on?
So we're still looking into that, but we did find personal effects, including shoes and pants, on one of the runways. Our officers are now going to go back in time to develop a timeline of this individual, specifically when he arrived at the airport, looking at his demeanor to see if there was anything unusual.
Now, we are being told operations at the airport were not disrupted during the incident last night. Flights were coming and going on schedule, with, of course, the exception of Delta Flight 2348. And as police say, the investigation continues.
The man accused of abusing two twin infants in Roy, leaving one of them dead, faced a judge today. 36-year-old Jonathan Dunn has been charged with aggravated murder, aggravated sexual abuse, and aggravated child abuse for his actions 2 weeks ago. Given the potential of the death penalty in this case, Dunn's defense attorney asked for more time to prepare for their next court appearance, at least 30 days notice, because they've only met once before today. The preliminary hearing was rescheduled for February 6th at 2 p.m.
We're learning more about what led up to a fatal shooting at a Murray apartment complex over the weekend. 2 people died. Court documents indicate it happened at the Brickgate Apartments early Saturday morning over a parking stall. Police were able to obtain surveillance video showing 19-year-old suspect Sobeth Noge Koki and the 2 victims, Laka Gira and Mojtaba Ahmadi, confronting each other with a semi-automatic firearm. Koki allegedly left the scene and got rid of the gun he used, denying to police that he shot at anyone. He is now behind bars, facing several charges.
A man remains in serious condition after police say he was shot for no apparent reason at a Salt Lake City convenience store a week ago.
Fox 13 News reporter Jenna Bree shows us why his devastated family is asking for your help.
This is horrible for us, so sad for us, for whole family.
Chaman Lal was working at the 7-Eleven on 200 South with his brother, Shyam, when he stepped outside and heard a gunshot come from inside the store.
When I saw him, he was in the floor and blood coming out from his stomach.
Chaman says when he saw what happened, he felt concerned and confused.
This monster people come then shoot him without any reason. They didn't say anything to him. Just shoot him.
Salt Lake City police recently arrested a 24-year-old man for the shooting. He's charged with aggravated robbery, felony discharge of a firearm, and a parole violation.
This was an incident that caught a lot of us by surprise. The brazenness of this act.
Brent Weisberg says despite the city seeing a 10% decrease in violent crime in 2023, these types of incidents don't make people feel safe.
We try to do that in every case to answer that, why did this crime happen? Because we know it affects the victim, it affects our community, and so we want to offer that closure whenever possible.
Chaman says Shyam had just migrated from India. He had only been in the U.S. for about 20 days when this happened on the evening of Christmas Day.
I was happy my brother is here. His life is safe here. But I don't know, his life is not safe here.
Shyam has already had 4 surgeries and has more scheduled. The Lal family is raising money to cover medical expenses and plane tickets for his family members to come see him. You can find the link to the GoFundMe on our website, fox13now.com. In Salt Lake City, Jenna Bree, Fox 13 News, Utah.
We want to take you outside now. This is a live look along eastbound I-80 in Tooele County. As much as you can see, there is low visibility because of all the fog in the area right now. So you can see that low visibility, reduced speed marquee sign there above the freeway.
Right.
This can be really a dangerous situation for drivers, so be on guard if you're traveling around
Sure
tonight.
can be dangerous, and the conditions just continue like this, Brent.
Yeah, they do. Patchy fog here, particularly on the south end of the Great Salt Lake. As we take a look at our visibility here along the Wasatch Front through northern Utah, you can see the trouble spot, towards Tooele County. Visibility down to about a quarter of a mile, so that's one area. Also near Bear Lake, we're seeing some patchy fog developing. We've also been seeing over the past few mornings areas such as Ogden Valley. Also, potentially in the overnight hours, we could see patchy fog that could develop, limiting visibility. So be careful out there, especially as you're moving on the west side of Salt Lake Valley over towards Tooele County. As we look at satellite radar, though, some clouds moving in. High-level clouds, no activity from radar, but we don't have to look too far upstream where we're seeing evidence of our next storm as it's pushing through the California coast, moving further south. It's got its target set for southern Utah as we head into the forecast for tomorrow. We're going to be looking at some changes. Tonight, though, mostly clear conditions here in Salt Lake City. Temperatures getting down into the upper 20s. We're hanging on to the haze still as we're looking at poor air quality for one more day. But then we have a series of storms lining up. Yeah, we're going to see some big changes as we look towards the weekend. We've got snow, we've got cold temperatures. We'll lay it all out for you as we take a look at your 7-day forecast coming up in just a few minutes.
Starting now, if you live or work in Park City, you could receive money to help cover child care costs.
Fox 13 News reporter Emily Tenzer shows us how much you could get and what it takes for you and your family to qualify.
In Park City, there's little room but high demand for daycare.
103 children are on our wait list.
And finding affordable services is also very scarce.
Our parents can't afford it. It's too much.
That's Melissa Mendez, program director of the nonprofit PC Tots. Daycares have had a rough few months following the end of pandemic federal funds back in October.
It's really sad and it's really horrific because it really affects our families.
That's why, starting now on a first-come, first-served basis, Park City is offering scholarships for eligible families. The City Council allocated $1 million to cover up to $1,700 per month per child that's up to kindergarten age.
It's extremely difficult for especially our young families to be able to afford to live in Park City because our cost of living up here is so high.
To be eligible, you must live in Park City and contribute 10% of household income to child care each month.
In Summit County, where Park City is situated, 65% of our families pay more than 10% of their income for early child care.
You must also make 100% or less than the average median income.
So an example of that is a family with 4 persons will need to have a total family income of $148,000 or less to qualify for the program.
All the scholarship enrolling and payment processing will be done through a partnership with California child care company Upwards. The Park City Community Foundation will cover those administrative costs. Daycares just hope some funding will eventually find its way to helping them expand.
It is a first step in the state of Utah. It is huge. Supporting families is really important, but we've got to support the industry as well.
The program even offers money to people who don't live but work here in Park City. It's only a couple $100, but it still can help. If you want to see if you're eligible and apply for those scholarships, you can find the link to that at fox13now.com. Reporting in Park City, Emily Tenser, Fox 13 News, Utah.
He's been on the fence about it for months, and tonight a big decision has been made that will shake up the landscape of Utah politics in 2024. We've got the details on Congressman John Curtis and his move towards succeeding Senator Mitt Romney.
She's only been on the job for 6 months, and now she's stepping down. What we're learning about the president of Harvard and why she resigned today.
The 15-year drought is over. We'll hear from Jazz guard Jordan Clarkson after his triple-double.
Utah Congressman John Curtis is planning to run for U.S. Senate.
Sources tell Fox 13 News political reporter Ben Winslow that Curtis will leave Utah's 3rd congressional district seat in the House to run for the Senate. He previously said he was not interested in doing that. Then a Draft Curtis Political Action Committee began running ads that made him think twice. Curtis is joining a crowded field, but his departure from the House will leave an open seat, and that will prompt even more candidates to file this week. Meantime, 3 Utahns filed today to run for U.S. Senate.
They are former Utah House Speaker Brad Wilson, Riverton Mayor Trent Staggs, and the son of the late Senator Orrin Hatch, Brent Hatch.
My father was the United States Senator from Utah, and I watched him be one of the most effective people during my entire life. And I've watched since he's died, government's fallen apart, people don't get along, and people are professional politicians and they don't stand for anything anymore.
I am the only America First conservative candidate in this race, and I have been endorsed by so many, more than any other candidate. I've been endorsed by true conservatives across the country.
What I've heard over and over again as I've traveled the state is what Utah wants is a conservative fighter that's going to go back to DC, represent Utah's conservative values about personal responsibility and family and protecting life and small government and low taxes. That's what this election is going to be all about.
Again, these 3 men join a crowded field in the race for the Republican nomination to replace Utah Senator Mitt Romney.
Today, Blanding Representative Phil Lyman filed to run for governor. He told Fox 13 News why.
Talking a lot about land and energy and resources, the principles of federalism, why the state has an important role to play in those decisions that affect Utahns, and why that boundary that defines the state means something.
Lyman is challenging incumbent Republican Governor Spencer Cox. The deadline to file is January 8th.
Hello, I'm Erin Ryder, and I'm running for Salt Lake County Mayor. Our county stands at a crossroads.
That's Erin Ryder, who announced her campaign for the Republican nomination in this video released today. Ryder, who is an attorney in her day job, will be trying to unseat Mayor Wilson, a Democrat and incumbent in the race. Ryder previously challenged former Congressman Chris Stewart for his seat back in 2022. Meanwhile, State Auditor John Dougall has announced he will not be seeking re-election. In a statement, he cited a comment he gave during his 2012 campaign when he said the ideal tenure for auditor was 2 to 3 terms or 8 to 12 years. He is currently in his 3rd term and said, quote, "Term limits are critical for accountability, whether statutorily or self-imposed." He will officially retire January 5th, 2025.
Well, earlier we showed you the fog out in Tooele County, and I tell you what, it's going to take a system to knock that out.
Oh, we've had trouble, of course, with this poor air haze in place, and we've been dealing with this patchy morning fog. Nothing really has been changing because high pressure has been ruling and dominating the weather pattern here over the past, really seems like a few weeks here. As we show you time-lapse video from our Salt Lake Tribune camera where the haze has been in place. We've been throughout the Salt Lake Valley, again, in that unhealthy for sensitive groups, that orange concern level. That doesn't look to change, at least for one more day. Then some nice changes here throughout the state as we usher in a few storms leading up to the weekend, even into next week. Today, though, as we've been looking at temperatures with that high pressure in place, penetrating the surface a little bit, allowing temperatures to warm up, still above average where we topped off at 44 degrees. On average, we should be in the upper 30s. As we look at other locations for your high temperatures, close to 40 degrees for your high today in Logan. How about in Evanston at 40 degrees, upper 30s in Vernal as we turn towards central southwestern Utah, many locations in the mid to upper 40s. We did make it up into the 50s in St. George with plenty of sunshine. Yeah, once you get out of the haze, it has been beautiful here throughout the state. Unseasonably warm here moving through the first week of January. Outside right now, you see that well-defined layer of haze with a view from our Oquirrh Mountain camera. We'll have to contend with some patchy morning fog. The biggest concern, west side of Salt Lake Valley, moving over towards Tooele County. Also, as we look up near Bear Lake, temperatures right now, the mid-20s in Salt Lake City, upper 20s in Provo, still at 30 degrees, though, in Ogden. As we look at AirView, powered by TELUS, this is where we look at our air quality sensors, giving direct indication of what's going on here along the Wasatch Front. Davis, Salt Lake County, in that, again, unhealthy for sensitive groups. We have seen some improvements in some locations. Utah County, most of the county, I should say, in the green. Looks like as you push further northward in that yellow or moderate concern level. But one more day with the haze, then we start seeing some stormy weather here. First initially impacting southern Utah. The storm that's going to be hitting tomorrow looks to bring some rain in St. George. Other spots, though, snow. We'll get that precipitation. We have to delay a day, Thursday. That's the timing for that weak storm, bringing light snow here across northern Utah. This first storm won't be doing too much. It will start helping the haze out. We get a little snow for the mountains, but it's the storms behind that we're really liking that's really going to be changing things up. Right now, though, we're seeing the migration of some clouds moving through, high-level clouds, no precipitation from this band, but we look behind the front, and this low-pressure system is going to be making its move here throughout the state, initially impacting southern Utah. Let's take a look at the computer models. I start up tomorrow morning. Clouds across the state. We start to see the showers moving into the lunch hour. Initially for St. George, it's rain, then snow moving up through Cedar City into Fillmore, Kanab, and then pushing towards southeastern Utah. Again, this storm, the brunt of it moving through southern Utah, but then we get a northerly flow with some moisture. We start to see some light snow showers heading into Thursday here along the Wasatch Front. That moves away. Then we gear up for our next storm coming through Friday afternoon. That's got a decent cold front. Will have a bigger impact for northern and central Utah leading through the weekend. It's going to be a snowy weekend, kind of on and off Friday and Saturday, with some bigger snow expected for Sunday. Tomorrow then, as we'll be looking at mostly cloudy skies, central and southern Utah, that's where we see the threat of showers. But again, northern Utah will see its impact here. It's a weak storm, but some light snow expected as we head into Thursday. St. George, you've got the rain tomorrow. Temperatures in the 40s, so we're saying goodbye to the 50s. A bigger storm for the weekend. That will bring a mixture of some rain and snow, and then we're going to get a blast of some cold air coming from Canada. That will allow temperatures to only be in the 30s for St. George moving into Monday and Tuesday. Northern Utah, again, these storms lining up. Starting Thursday, light snow. Bigger snow Friday night through Saturday, and then even bigger as we go with that next storm on Sunday. So we're talking 3 storms here over the next 7 days. But even looking at the long-range models, next week, Tuesday night, and then another one on Thursday. So we're gearing up for the storm cycle. We're bringing it and starting this weekend, but expect this the cold, and it looks like you'll be doing some shoveling heading into the weekend.
After facing allegations of plagiarism and condemnation stemming from answers during a congressional hearing, Dr. Claudine Gay announced today she is stepping down as president of Harvard University.
Now the search for her replacement begins. Scripps News national correspondent Vanessa Mishanya reports.
As the world kicks off 2024, Harvard is heading into the new year without a president. Claudine Gay announcing her resignation Tuesday, saying in a statement, After consultation with members of the corporation, it has become clear that it is in the best interests of Harvard for me to resign so that our community can navigate this moment of extraordinary challenge with a focus on the institution rather than any individual. Gay's resignation comes in the wake of multiple scandals, including allegations of plagiarism and harsh criticism over the school's response to anti-Semitic incidents.
Can you
But
not
our
say here that it is
values
against the
also-
code of conduct at Harvard?
We embrace a commitment to free expression, even of views that are objectionable, offensive, hateful. It's when that speech crosses into conduct that violates our policies against bullying, harassment,
Does that speech not cross that barrier?
In Harvard's nearly 400-year history, Gay was the school's first Black president and the second woman to ever hold the position, serving as head of the university for just over 6 months, the shortest term in the university's history.
When you're on a college campus, the president of that campus is a different version of a mayor or the president of the United States. And we look up to the leaders and people follow those leaders. And so we need them to be rising to this occasion.
Now, until the school finds a new leader, Alan Garber, Harvard's provost and chief academic officer, will step in as interim president. Vanessa Mashanya, Scripps News.
A federal grand jury has filed a second indictment against New Jersey Senator Bob Menendez. He's accused of accepting race card tickets and other gifts from Qatar as part of a years-long corruption scheme. It's the second foreign country, in addition to Egypt, that Menendez is now accused of helping while in office. The new indictment also alleges the senator's bribery and extortion scheme continued into last year, which is a year longer than initially thought.
Former President Donald Trump has asked a Maine court to overturn a ruling that would remove him from the state's primary ballot. Now, the timing of the decision made by Maine's Secretary of State allowed Trump to file the appeal before Maine's primary election taking place in March. The appeal was expected from Trump after he did the same in Colorado. Both Colorado and Maine say Trump violated the 14th Amendment because of his role in the January 6th attack at the U.S. Capitol. The states say under the Constitution, that makes Trump ineligible to be president.
Riverdale police share new details on the cyber kidnapping of 17-year-old Kai Zhuang and where he is now.
A spike in flu and other respiratory illnesses all across the country. I'm Amy Nay in Gunnison, where I go to my local pharmacy to see what they're seeing and take a look at all the numbers all across the state.
A resolution for an inland port project area in Weber County passed. I'll show you what that means and why there was opposition to it.
The Aggies are rolling. Utah State's men's basketball team with a big win to start Mountain West Conference play.
Tonight, we are learning new details about the cyber kidnapping of a 17-year-old foreign exchange student in Riverdale.
Police tell Fox 13 News reporter Darian DeBrule the teen was relieved when he was told by law enforcement he and his family back home in China were safe.
Cyber kidnappers will target young foreign exchange students, and they will lead them to believe that their family is in danger in China. They will tell them if they don't do exactly what they say, then their family will be harmed.
For over a month before his December 28th disappearance, 17-year-old foreign exchange student Kai Zhuang was unknowingly a victim of cyber kidnapping.
They started with Kai, we believe, to extort money from him. His parents had begun transferring him money out of the usual, and he was transferring that money to these kidnappers to protect his family.
When Kai's parents got suspicious of the amount of money they were sending, police say the cyber kidnappers, who they believe are located in China, escalated their tactics. They told Kai to isolate himself and send pictures to his parents in China as if he were kidnapped.
The captors want him to isolate himself from all society because they know there's a high probability that police or law enforcement will be contacted. And once we contact Kai and we know he's safe, the game is up.
Kai was found by a sergeant with the Riverdale Police Department in a tent in the mountains of Brigham City on Sunday.
One of the main concerns we had at this point wasn't so much that the kidnappers were going to harm him, because we knew the kidnappers were in China, was that he may freeze to death overnight. Kai was relieved to see Sergeant Engstrom. One of the first things he wanted to do was contact his family in China to make sure they were okay.
Chief Warren says information about the cyber kidnapping has been passed along to authorities in China, but he doesn't know what will happen next.
I'm glad they're not here in the U.S., but I wish they were, so we could hold them responsible. We have good faith that hopefully the Chinese officials there will help locate these suspects, identify them, and bring them to justice.
Chief Warren says Kai is back home in China with his family. He also wants people to know that if you believe you are a victim of cyber kidnapping, to stop all contact with the possible kidnappers and call police. In Riverdale, I'm Darian DeBrule, Fox 13 News, Utah.
8 people have been displaced after a house fire early this morning in Taylorsville. It happened just before 6 near 4800 South, 3500 West. Unified Fire says the fire started outside the house but then spread to the attic. Damage is estimated at about $100,000. No one in the house, including 4 dogs, suffered any injuries.
When people gathered for the holidays, they were sharing more than just some holiday cheer.
A spike in flu cases and other respiratory illnesses has been reported, and it's happening at a time when people seem reluctant to get their flu shots. Fox 13 News anchor Amy Nay looks into it.
We're definitely still seeing more flu cases than average.
Sean Sorensen, pharmacist at the Gunnison Market Pharmacy in central Utah, says they're seeing more cases of flu and other respiratory illnesses, but giving far fewer flu shots this season.
People are definitely more resistant to get shots this year than they have been. I think we burned them out a little bit with the COVID shots and a few other things.
And I figured now was as good a time as any to get mine.
It's going to be just a second. We're going to let that dry just so it doesn't sting.
At my local pharmacy, Sean helping me roll up my sleeve to get immunized.
Okay, just relax. Okay. It wasn't so bad at all. But then it'll hurt later, right?
The CDC seeing elevated and increasing levels of flu-like illnesses in most areas of the country. More than 30 states are currently seeing high or very high levels, including all around Utah. We are still at a moderate level. The CDC says during the week before Christmas, 29,000 people were admitted to hospitals with COVID-19, 15,000 with the flu, and thousands more with RSV. Those numbers only expected to go up. Other numbers out this past week by the CDC show all counties in Utah with an increase in ER visits due to flu or respiratory illnesses as seen in this chart. A major rise last year at this time, but you see the line is starting to spike again this week.
Ever since COVID hit, things have been kind of up and down. We haven't got back to a baseline of normal yet.
Intermountain Healthcare Germ Watch puts out weekly reports showing the latest numbers in Utah, and here you can see the trend with influenza A and B cases at a sharp rise.
But the flu season doesn't really even peak until March, so there is still plenty of time to get shots.
Reporting in Gunnison, Amy Nay, Fox 13 News, Utah.
The Weber County Commission approved an expansion of the West Weber Inland Port Project area. Details of the project and the public opposition that came with it. The Weber County Commission has unanimously approved a resolution to expand the project area for the West Weber Inland Port.
Fox 13 News reporter Maithili Gubi shares more about the project and the public opposition that came with it.
Roll call vote for Resolution 02-2024. Commissioner Ford?
Aye.
Commissioner Bowles?
Aye.
Chair Harvey? Aye. Thank you.
Thank you. The Weber County Commission passed a resolution that could allocate about 9,000 acres to create the West Weber Inland Port Project area.
As it gives us the ability to partner again with the state, with the Inland Port Board, and gives us the ability to pick and choose and have input on the businesses, the industry that may go there.
About 20 people spoke in the public comment period about the project. Most were in opposition because of the impact it could have on the wetlands. The area comes near the eastern shore of the Great Salt Lake by waterfowl management areas.
I feel that it's completely contrary to what we're trying to do with preserving Great Salt Lake and its wetlands.
Once the natural state of wetlands is disrupted, especially to the degree that the inland port is planning, there's no such thing as restoring those to the functional, effective state for anything that they are. Clean water, the air, the wildlife.
The commission approved a resolution in August to start planning with the Inland Port Authority, and this continues that process. But a big criticism was the lack of public involvement so far.
We feel that the amount of planning involved with this, from the public's point of view, was absolutely inadequate. They need to take 6 months or even a year to get public opinion, especially from the residents of the west side of the county.
Commissioners say this isn't a final approval and is still a long-term project, so they do want to address people's concerns.
All the concerns that were brought up are valid concerns. Air quality, wetlands issues, water reuse, all are concerns. They're all valid. It doesn't go to private developers, it goes to infrastructure to look at things like wetlands, air quality, that at the end of the day are controlled by the state or feds.
The West Weaver Inland Port project is on the Utah Inland Port Authority's meeting agenda for Wednesday, January 10th. According to that agenda, they plan to discuss maximizing long-term economic benefits for Weber County. In Ogden, I am Maithili Gubbi, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Well, as we go to break, I want to share a photo coming up on our Facebook page. This was a photo exactly 1 year ago, highlighting in Sandy the fresh new snow. Oh, it's been a while since we've seen any storm that produced that kind of snow, but we got snow in the forecast. I'll tell you when it will hit after the break.
Coming up in sports, Weber State's Dylan Jones and Utah's Brandon Carlson both honored. Craig Smith will tell us about the Utah Star. And the Aggies went after their 12th win in a row as they opened up Mountain West play at Air Force. The highlights are on the way.
To the left, bounce pass into the corner.
Welcome back, everyone. Salt Lake City Mayor Erin Mendenhall and 4 city council members took their oaths of office today. Ceremony was held at Salt Lake City Library's Tessman Auditorium. In her speech, Mendenhall affirmed a commitment to improving the city's public transit, as well as being ready if and when new major league teams are brought to the capital city.
If the National Hockey League and Major League Baseball come to Salt Lake City, as they should, we will weave them into our already growing capital city, adding the presence of more teams and fans to our community, our economy, and our identity.
The mayor and council members were sworn in to a 4-year term, except for District 7 council member Sarah Young. She was appointed to the seat after the resignation of Amy Fowler back in July. That seat will be back on the ballot in 2025.
Ogden has a new mayor tonight. Ben Nadolski was sworn in today in a ceremony in the Ogden City Council chambers. After the ceremony, Nadolski addressed Ogden residents, outlining what he hopes to accomplish within his first 100 days in office.
I invite you to join me in that mindset of growth within yourself and within one another. As we do that collectively, we will build a stronger and better city. A stronger and better Ogden.
2 new city council members, Dave Graff and Sean Myers, were also sworn in and spoke about how they hope to contribute to Ogden's success.
We have some cold temperatures across Utah tonight and some areas of thick fog. You know, it's hard to tell what's fog and what's inversion.
You just want it all gone, no matter what it is.
Blow it out.
Well, let's get that done.
Let's do it. We've
Bolton.
got storms we've been mentioning. It's big changes here. We're turning a corner. We're going to start welcoming in some snow, the storms. We're going to be clearing things out quite nicely heading into the weekend. Now, as we give you a view from I-15 on 82nd South there in Midville, doesn't look to be too bad, but you can see off in the distance limited visibility in some spots where we will see the possibility of some patchy fog as we're seeing thicker fog as you move further west along I-80 heading into Tooele County. But in downtown Salt Lake City, not too bad right now. It is hazy air quality throughout most of the Salt Lake Valley. Again, as we've been highlighting, in that orange category, concern level with unhealthy for sensitive groups. Temperatures right now in the mid-20s. Today we got up in the 40s once again here along the Wasatch Front. Earlier on, as we were looking at air quality, in that orange category, the one of the toughest spots, or one of the areas that we saw some bad air, was up in Davis County, specifically at Davis High School, the PM 2.5 level at 101. Let me just compare in some other locations across the world, where in Serbia we were at 252 and in Pakistan 381. So a far cry there, where we're not the worst spot here across the world. Other spots in the hazardous category there, but still we want to get rid of this haze. We'll do so, especially as we turn towards Thursday. We can see that improvement as we look Wednesday, Thursday. We're bringing in our first storm. It's kind of a weak one here, at least for northern Utah. Stronger storm though for southern Utah. You start to see the precipitation come tomorrow. But then we've got 2 more storms throughout the weekend, one hitting Friday night through Saturday, and then another one on Sunday. Looks like we'll be looking at less issues with air quality, especially next week, as we'll keep the storms going. So we're talking several storms over the next 7 days. With this first storm, though, as I mentioned, across southern Utah, we do have a winter weather advisory for the mountains, as you can see there, highlighting as we go central towards southwestern Utah, as we're looking at areas from Fish Lake over towards Bryan Head, moving into Bryce Canyon as well. Let's talk about how much snow we're going to be looking at over the next 48 to 72 hours. As we go moving through Friday, we can see potentially areas such as Bryan Head getting upwards of 8 inches. As we go towards Bryce Canyon, maybe more of a 3 to 6 inch range. More snow expected for the southern mountains than for the northern mountains. Models showing with this first storm 2 to 3, maybe 4 inches. That's about it. But that's just the first storm. Expecting more here throughout the weekend. Right now, we're just mainly seeing some clouds move their way through. Here's the storm system. This one's going to be tracking in come tomorrow. But as we look with this first storm, statewide, we will see some snow. Lighter snow showers across northern Utah, but we'll get it going once again heading into Friday evening through Saturday, Sunday. Models showing, as we do have these series of storms after the weekend, potentially upwards of 30 inches of new snow for the mountains of northern Utah. Expecting to see several inches also for the central and southern mountains. This is good. It's going to take a few storms to do it. Last year we had one storm after the other, with each storm producing 2 to 3 feet. Not seeing that with this storm, but the series of storms definitely helping out. Tomorrow, as we're waking up, we're going to be looking at mostly cloudy conditions. The haze still around. As I said, improvements expected going into Thursday. Tomorrow, we'll have to contend with the haze and even some patchy morning fog. As highs tomorrow, very similar to what we saw here across northern Utah. More clouds, though, above the haze hanging around. As you move through central and southern Utah, we get the showers going right about the noon hour, lingering on throughout the afternoon. That means rain showers for St. George, and even some snow potentially in Cedar City as that cold front making its move through, and then it tracks towards eastern Utah tomorrow night through Thursday. We don't see the snow here across northern Utah until Thursday, as that will keep snow going here throughout most of the weekend. St. George, you've got the rain tomorrow. Then you get a chance of some brief showers early Thursday morning, then a break. But Sunday with that bigger storm, it's going to bring some colder air all the way from Canada. That will drop temperatures and even bring in a possibility of maybe seeing a mixture of some rain and snow, as you can see with overnight lows quickly getting down into the 20s heading to the beginning of next week. Northern Utah, haze another day. Light snow showers, not seeing a big impact for the valley floors. Canyon travel could be a little bit of an issue. And then Friday, heading into the late afternoon hours into Saturday morning, Saturday night through Sunday. Big snow on Sunday. That's where you potentially could be doing some shoveling. It's going to be cold next week with highs only in the 20s and 30s.
The Utah State men's basketball team played great in non-conference games, going 12-1 with 11 straight wins going into today's Mountain West Conference opener at Air Force. The Aggies took control of the game from the start. Great Osobor with the jam. The Aggies jumped out to a 12-2 lead. Then Osobor with the assist. Ian Martinez throws down 2 of his 17 points. Back inside to Osobor. Another big finish at the rim. He led the Aggies with a career-high 32 points and 9 rebounds. Then here comes Mason Fallslev right to the rim. He had 18 points. It was a dunk fest for the Aggies as they beat Air Force 88-60, their 12th win in a row to improve to 13-1. Utah's Braden Carlson was named the Pac-12 Player of the Week after leading the Utes to their 8th straight win with 19 points against Washington State, then with 2 career highs with 34 points and 7 assists against Washington. He's a big reason why the Utes are 11-2.
What's exciting is you just made all the right plays. we'll make this progression. And I think that speaks volume to our team and our chemistry and understanding how teams are guarding us, but obviously him, because he is a big pivot point. Specifically to the Washington game, we really challenged Brandon. And I think that's what great players do. They accept the challenge, they embrace it, they love to be coached, and Brandon craves that. He had a look in his eye that real winners have. He didn't force the issue, yet he definitely put a major imprint on that game, and our guys got rallied around that and played off of him.
Weber State's Dylan Jones named the Big Sky Player of the Week for the 4th time this season, 12th time for his career after scoring 15 points in the Wildcats' win over Montana and tying his career high with 29 points and 13 rebounds in the win over Montana State. Jordan Clarkson led the Jazz to a 37-point win over the Mavericks. He finished with 20 points, 11 assists, and 10 rebounds for the first Jazz triple-double since 2008. Will Hardy wanted to take him out of the game in the blowout, but allowed JC to stay in the game to get one final rebound.
I'm obviously not here to mess up a good time. I understand that I would have been maybe the most hated man in the building if I'd subbed him out. Those things are important. The way the building reacted, the way the fans reacted, the way the team reacted, the way that Jordan reacted to that. I'm happy it worked out.
It meant a lot. And yeah, just breaking that record, seeing all the, teams, the guys, it's crazy. I played with Carlos Boozer, and that was, his old record, and it just felt good. It was a very cool little milestone to put on my list.
And great to get it done in a win. We'll be right back.
This looks like fun. There was a big party tonight celebrating the Junior Jazz Youth Basketball Program. I know.
Junior Jazz?
We're about 50 years too late, 40 years too late for this. The Utah Jazz hosted the party for the nearly 10,000 participants in the program at the Delta Center.
We always have jazz players, current jazz players at all of our junior jazz parties. So kids will be able to stand in line and get a photo with some of their favorite players. They can also shoot a basket on the court. They can take a photo at center court and play a ton of different carnival games and earn prizes throughout the evening.
Oh,
that would be a dream come true for so many kids.
Oh my goodness. There he goes.
And it's in. I could just feel it. The program has surpassed 2 million participants since the Junior Jazz organization was founded over 40 years ago.
Your kids were in it?
My boys
were in it?
Yes.
Your kids have been in it?
Yes.
Yep.
So many fond
Junior
memories.
Jazz.
I've kept all the little Junior Jazz jerseys
there
that they
you go.
get.
Yeah, we have too.
Yeah, I want to do something
you wear
with them
to
one
work
day.
every now and then.
Every other day. Got it underneath.
Quickcast is up next.